David's a great guy. He's been a precinct committeeman since 18. He won't talk about this anymore. I was at a teenage Republicans thing that he was at. I listened to everything he said. He didn't say precinct committeeman once. Why? Because he doesn't want the status quo to change. Because if, in his district, 50% of the slots are vacant. If conservatives fill up all the slots, and then some new guy comes and says, David, we sent you there. You didn't fight hard enough. I'll fight harder. I've never been there, Maybe the precinct committee will get out to vote for that new guy. He knows that. That's why he won't talk about it. And I don't fault him for that. It's in his self-interest. I fault us. This is not rocket science, people. Okay, so, again, why won't they talk about that? Well, many conservative incumbents, they're not very conservative. Like Romney didn't want to talk about this. He would have won in the election, but why wouldn't he talk about it? I told him to do this. I got a strategy to him and to his wife. Told him that he needed to do this. He wouldn't talk about it. Why? Well, what happens if he got elected? Then guess what he would have to deal with? A conservative Republican Party nipping at his heels constantly. So he was willing to forego getting elected, and he didn't really want to be president anyway, he said. Okay, and many conservative incumbents, really all of them, they don't want to risk a primary challenger. They fear that you'll figure this out and replace them too, and then they rationalize it. I'm sure David goes, why should I tell them that? It's not in my self-interest. And again, it's not rocket science. Dan Schultz tells them that all the time. It's not rocket science. They should be able to figure this out. It's not my job to do it. So, too bad for the little people. So it just takes a few hours a month to be a precinct committeeman. And actually, like I said, you don't even have to go to the meetings, the monthly meetings, but I do. Okay, so why do you do this? It's where the real power's at. The candidates will call you. Once you become a precinct committeeman, literally, I got John McCain calling me right after I became a precinct committeeman, his campaign. I said, why are you calling me? Because you're a precinct committeeman, we'd like your endorsement. I said, you want what? And then I gave him about 18 reasons why I've never endorsed a guy. And they've never called me back. Then you can caucus to endorse conservative challengers over moderate incumbents. And we did that, like I said, for Bill Montgomery. It works. In sufficient numbers, you can elect new conservative party leaders. Like, luckily, since I've been in the Maricopa County Committee, we've always had a conservative at the helm. But it's been close a couple of times. A.J. LaFaro won by a landslide this time. A landslide. And he'll probably do it next time too. And we'll always have a conservative run in the county party, which is very important, provided we've got enough conservatives in the PC slots. And only precinct committee will get access to GOP data center for their precinct to get the walking sheets that are a fantastic tool for getting out the vote. So we, the conservative people, are the ones to blame. Like I said, I'm not blaming anybody in the Republican Party. I blame us, we the people, and I include myself in that until 2007. So now the Republican Party has about 707,000 registered Republicans and about 6,700 PC slots, and we've got about 3,500 of those filled. So there has to be 3,200 conservatives among the do-nothing of the 707,000, So this is basic American civics, and we've got a civic duty to do this. And like I said, I failed to do this for decades because I didn't think I needed to do it, and I really did. So just don't take my word for it. Here's Rush Limbaugh. He said this, I think it was last Thursday. Okay. He who controls the precincts controls the party. And he was quoting a guy named Brad Thor, this author, who figured this out somehow. I don't know. So just don't take my word for it again. Harry Truman, of being a precinct captain, one of the fundamental lessons I have learned is this. In politics, the work that is done in the precincts is the work that counts most. He valued being a precinct committeeman, he said in the same speech, more than he did being president. He thought it was more important. Okay, Abe Lincoln on precinct organizing. This is before the Republican Party ever came into existence. The whole state, he's talking about Illinois, must be so well organized that every Whig can be brought to the polls. So divide the county into small districts and appoint in each a committee. Make a perfect list of the voters and ascertain with certainty for whom they will vote. Keep a constant watch on the doubtful voters and have them talked to by those in whom they have the most confidence. On election day, we see that every Whig is brought to the polls. Now, we've got the internet, we've got telephones, we've got email. We ought to be able to do this easily with text messaging, and we've got to learn how to do this better, and we can. So here's the big question. Will you get out of the bleachers and into the real ball game of politics? So here's some questions for you folks who aren't precinct committeemen yet. Have you ever been to a party committee meeting? Do you know the name and the number of your precinct? Because mine's Corbell, and the number, I don't remember the number's not that important, but mine's Corbell. You know the geographic boundaries of your political neighborhood, your precinct. Those maps I showed you, they're all on the county recorder's website. Do you know any other conservatives in your precinct? Do you know even one of your party's precinct committeemen in your precinct? Well, I know all the 11 others of mine because we work together. Do you know when and where your local party committee meets? Mine meets the second Thursday of the month, every month. Do you know the names of your 2 state representatives and senator? Had you even heard the term precinct committeeman before this presentation? Again, have you ever been to your local committee meeting? You should go, obviously. You'll be surprised probably by what you find there. For example, LD 15. According to this list I have, after the primary in 2012, 453 slots, 192 filled, 42% filled. Of the 20 legislative districts in Maricopa County, 12 were below 50%, and 6 were below 33% in strength. That's got to change, okay? And again, this party politics stuff, it's not hard. These are the rules of the Republican Party, okay? There's a lot of white space there. It's not complicated. Okay? Here's the Maricopa County Republican bylaws. Again, lots of white space. There's only a few of the paragraphs that are really important. That has to do with the membership and how the elections are run. Here's the bylaws of the Arizona Republican Party. Again, not tough. And then GOP Data Center, that software I was telling you about. Here's 8 pages on how to do what's called pull a basic count. You go in, you find your precinct, you pull up all the voters, and then you tell it, okay, sort them whichever way I want. Print out just Republicans, for example, or print out Republicans and independents, and the independents who always ask for a Republican ballot, and we'll just target them. Or just give me the Republicans who vote 50% or less of the time, and those conservative independents, ones we think, and the new voters. Just give me that. And you can do it all different ways, okay? And then it'll print it out in walking order, so you can go right down the street, house, 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 cross the street, come back the other way. It's all done with a database. It's real easy. So what do you have to do? You got to show up. That's it. To become an appointed PC, to fill a vacancy, you have to fill out one piece of paper. There's about 6 items you have to fill out. Your name, your birth date, what's on your voter ID card, basically. Your address, because you have to live in the precinct that you want to fill a vacancy in. Okay, so, and then every 2 years at the primary, you get elected. So what do you have to do? You got to get 10 signatures or fewer. In one precinct where I recruited some precinct committeemen, a husband and a wife, they only needed 3 signatures. And you can sign for yourself, and your spouse can sign for you. So they had to find one more person, you know? And they said, Joe down the street, he'll sign for us. So with 3 signatures, they got on the ballot, they ran unopposed, and they both got elected, and they were precinct committeemen in my old legislative district 17. Then you have to sign an affidavit of qualification that says you live in that precinct and you're a registered party member. And it's got to be notarized or signed by 2 witnesses. And then the party will turn those into the election board, and then you'll get on the ballot. And again, you'll probably run unopposed because 40% of the precincts in Maricopa County don't even have one precinct committeeman. and only about 50% of the slots are filled. So this is open to any qualified voter. The voters in each precinct elect their